Hey everybody, David Alter here for Rink Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog. Make a Play, Canada's choice for free casino games, sports odds, and poker strategies. And tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs wrap up a 5-game road trip here on the Rock. That's what they call the Prudential Center here in New Jersey, as they will take on the Devils, and they will be without John Tavares, who will miss the game because he woke up on Sunday not feeling like himself. It was a bit strange at practice on Monday to see him take part in everything, but wearing an extras gray jersey. It wasn't a red non-contact. It was just John Tavares doing all the non-playing stuff. It was kind of hard to imagine this wouldn't be for disciplinary reasons or anything like that. Clearly, that was not the case. And it turns out that he just wasn't feeling well when he woke up on Sunday. Remember, he was the recipient of 2 big hits in that game, one of them on Tyler Myers. And of course, we spoke to him after the game. He said he was fine. And so at that point, we just kind of wondered, well, did he wake up and feeling dizzy or anything like that? He said it was nothing like that. He just didn't feel like himself. And so he just let the trainers know and the medical staff and tell them that, just not feeling good. I feel a bit drained or whatever. But he got progressively better throughout the day. This has been a grueling road trip. I've been on it. And to go from the West Coast all over Alberta, Vancouver, Seattle, which they didn't have together, to kind of to go across, come back, and then have a game in the New York area before flying home is a lot. Like usually when you're coming back from the West, you're going home and you're resting. The Leafs haven't been able to do that. So they figured it was just fatigue, and that is a big side of caution here. The Leafs are going to rest John Tavares, and so he spoke to us moments ago and just explaining the thought process, quickly dispelled any notion of any sort of head injury or anything like that. And so that's good news for the Maple Leafs. And so Sam Lafferty will take his spot on the second line mid-center spot, I should say, to fill in for Tavares. And the Leafs fully expect that their captain will be in the lineup on Saturday at home, their next game when they take on the Edmonton Oilers. Good news on the Ryan O'Reilly front. He is on long-term injured reserve, but the Leafs were able to get some positive news in the fact that he had seen a specialist yesterday, and then he got the surgery, was successful, and the timeline now for Ryan O'Reilly to be out is 4 weeks. So that gives about 3 weeks runway for the playoffs if they follow that timeline. And so that's good news. Of course, the Leafs acquired Ryan O'Reilly as their big name among 6 new players that they added over the course of February. And so when he went down with an injury, Leaf fans started thinking about Nick Foligno again and what happened with him when they acquired him 2 years ago before the 2021 playoffs. And so as of right now, that doesn't appear to be the case. They fully expect him to be ready for the playoffs, and that's good news for number 90 on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ilya Samsonov will get the start in goal. It's his first start in a while, because Matt Murray played against the Vancouver Canucks, and then in Alberta, it was Joseph Wall getting that one on the second half of back-to-back. Wall has since been sent back down to the Marlies. But Ilya Samsonov with a little bit of rest. Curious to see how well he does against these potent New Jersey Devils, who added Timo Meier as their big name at the trade deadline. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see if Samsonov is ready for the test. But Murray is going to be the scheduled starter. Matt Murray, I should say, will be the scheduled starter against the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday. And the plan is to kind of go with both goalies, much like they were going before. Although when Murray did get hurt, they gave Samsonov a bit of a run. Actually, it was before he even got hurt. He hadn't played since January 17th before that, and Sheldon Keefe said they wanted to give Samsonov a bit of run. He was actually outperforming Murray. But now that Murray's back, I think they're just going to kind of let go both goalies go and see who kind of raises to the top. If you ask me who the number 1 goalie should be for the playoffs, I think it's Ilya Samsonov. But you let me know in the comments below what you think, or who you think should be the starting goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs. Michael Bunting demoted down to the 4th line. He's going to skate with call-ups Pontus Holmberg and Alex Steed. Bunting kind of saying it is what it is. He was kind of down when we talked to him about it. The Leafs and Sheldon Keefe said that he's got a bit of a mental block right now in his game, and they're just trying to get his confidence back and get him to be a driver on that line. It has no doubt in his mind, Sheldon Keefe says, that Michael Bunting will be back on the top line with Matthews and Marner, if Marner is that duo there, before you know it. And Alex Kerfoot, ready for the task. He's been moved up to that first line before. Sheldon Keefe said that he thought he had his best game the other night, and Kerfoot was playing better than Bunce, and that was why Alex Kerfoot is getting the first line assignment. Timothy Liljegren is back into the lineup after missing the last couple of games as the Toronto Maple Leafs went with 7 defensemen. They're going to go back to 6. Luke Schenn is back in Vancouver with his pregnant wife. They're expecting their third kid any day now. Because he's kind of the number 7 on this team, they're going to give him and his family all the time they need to figure out their moving situation with the kid and everything before he rejoins the Toronto Maple Leafs. So certainly no rush for Luke Schenn to join the team, although I do know a lot of Leaf fans at home are just anxiously awaiting Luke Schenn's return to Scotiabank Arena, so that'll have to wait for a little bit. Leave me a comment below, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what you think that crowd reaction will be like for Luke Schenn when he actually does make his return to Scotiabank Arena, whenever that might be. And for Timothy Liljegren, going back to that, Sheldon Keefe said, he's got to earn his spot now. They've added a lot more depth, and it's on him to prove that he's an everyday player. Remember, he was in that same situation last year, did start the playoffs for the first 2 games, but got pulled for other players and never got back in. So with some of the depth that they've got right now, they're going to have to be very careful and see how Timothy Liljegren shows how he can play with everybody in the mix there. That's the story from Newark, New Jersey. Myself and Rob Wong will have your post-game show. Make sure you rate and subscribe on all of your favorite podcast platforms to Rink Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog, the place to go to make a play on free casino games and sports odds. Rink Wide Toronto, pre-game, post-game, every day.